So, have you ever heard of a 12-step program? Well, I'm here to tell you that it'll work wonders for you just as well as it's worked for me. And you don't have to be an addict to make those changes. This is a picture of me 6 years ago. And if you can tell, recovery looks a lot better than this did on me. But the steps of the program are what really made me beautiful from the inside out and changed me holistically. I have worked my steps all the way through one time completely, and I'm on my second round, and I'm working it on relationships right now. And when I say work the steps, I mean you get the books, you do the writing, you work with the sponsor, or just somebody you trust and talk to them about what you wrote. These are the books I'm speaking of. The NA Step Working Guide, and It Works, How and Why, the 12 Steps and the 12 Traditions. Very good books. I definitely recommend it. So, the benefits of working the 12 steps is they help you work on your patterns of behavior, your life experiences, all that stuff that's inside there. They help you become more spiritual and practice spiritual principles before you act out on personalities. They help us right our wrongs and help other people. So I definitely encourage you guys to give it a try. So I want to give you a little history about the 12 steps. They were created in 1939 by two men, one of which was a doctor, and they called the program Alcoholics Anonymous. And so many other recovery communities have adopted those principles and steps and are still using them today. Few studies have been done because of the high level of anonymity the program has. But what I will say is I've been at conferences with tens of thousands of people that are clean and living that way. And that's in one city and one community and one state. And this is practiced worldwide and dates back 80 plus years. You can only imagine the number of people who it has impacted. According to New York Times bestseller, Melody Beatty, in her book Codependence Guide to the 12 Steps, Beatty writes, the kind of self-care that accompanies recovery in the steps is gentler, more loving, more freeing, more focused on tending to our own responsibilities. And that's completely the experience that you get. So I do want to tell you a little bit about the principles that are associated with the steps. One of the highlights of working the steps is strengthening these principles. And these are just a few. There's so many more. Honesty, hope, faith, courage, trust, willingness, responsibility, forgiveness, acceptance, accountability, spirituality, service, open-mindedness. And I will say there are three of them that are very important. That's honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. And with those, you're well on your way for this journey. So, now that we've discussed some of the principles that are associated with the steps, I'd like to focus on the common ground of why people would work the steps. And mostly it's because we look outside of ourselves for something to make us feel different. And so it is a journey, and it requires daily maintenance. The writing part is not the only part that gets us through. We constantly take a look at ourselves and our actions and make those changes and right any wrongs we have. Some of the common reasons that people work the steps and can are codependency, overeating, relationships, gambling, gaming, shopping, sex, love, emotions, money, control issues, parenting, perception, trauma, obsession, social media, or self-discovery. I'd like you to leave some in my comments if you can think of other ones as well, please. So, in the program, it does focus on the fact that we are not perfect, and it's progress, not perfection. And we are only human, and we make mistakes, right? And so, this is a program that anybody could work. According to the Hazelden Betty Ford Foundation, this practice, although can be difficult, can benefit everyone because it strengthens humility, lessens anger and resentment, and improves relationships. Some of the reasons why I encourage you to give it a try. Definitely not a religious program, and it's not like a cult. It's just spiritual. So we have these spiritual principles we're working on, a connection with our spirituality, and we're accepting of any kinds of cultures or ideals and beliefs. So some of the other things that I had mentioned were identifying patterns of behavior, which for me, that was a big one. I seem to overthink my mistakes and I obsess on them, and it's a pattern I have. So right now I'm really working on surrender, and that's a big one. But there is some healing when we put the pen to the paper. So to summarize, a better understanding of the 12 steps can benefit us all by learning what they are, what spiritual principles they strengthen, and how we can apply them to different areas. And strengthen our spiritual principles and our knowledge of ourselves. So I would want to take the time to call you guys to action, to encourage you guys. Let's look inside ourselves. Let's dig deep. Let's get to the root of our behaviors and our thinking and our actions, and let's try to treat other people better and treat ourselves better. It's definitely worth it, and I encourage you guys to give it a try. What do you have to lose? There'll be some time in our life that we just want more. Well, with that, we can work the steps and we can get that more. It's a constant cycle for me. I don't think I'll ever stop working the steps, but I'd really like you guys to give it a try and join me. Have a great evening.